So you're suggesting that for the fault or the fractures, filling them in with basically some kind of material to fill in the crack to allow to keep them one either from moving or from the migration of fluid or anything else through them. Am I understanding your question? I mean, in theory, that would be awesome if there was. I'll just answer your question real quick. As far as I don't know of any studies that look at that specifically about filling fractures in the rock or the earth. Jeff may know, but I don't personally. I think the big issue with even if they were to come up with some kind of sealant or something for these faults and fractures, there are countless, infinite number of you've got major fractures, then some sub fractures, and then sets of fractures. And Jeff's doing what we call a fracture joint study up in this area, where basically you can have a fracture every so many feet on parallel, and then a cross set of fractures perpendicular to it so many feet. It's about like that brick. I mean, it's basically, if you can imagine that the mortar between those brick being the fractures and stuff. And I think it would what would be the problem is just the sheer volume it would take to physically seal all those fractures at the depth, because I mean it's not only the length of the fracture, but it's also the depth of the fracture. And I mean, Jeff, I'll let you.
Yeah, pretty much what Scott said. I think that the issue there would be just the scale. There's just so many fractures, and they're on the scales of hundreds of kilometers, that you wouldn't be able to get that amount of material down there to have an effect. And by the way, the process you're talking about, similar to that, occurs naturally. It's just called cementation, and you'll see fractures all over the world filled with material. We call those veins, and they're a lot of times filled with calcite or the mineral quartz. So they do certainly heal themselves naturally as groundwater flows through there. Silica will precipitate out, carbonate will precipitate out as minerals, and they will heal these fractures. But sometimes those minerals themselves will then get dissolved again, and so on. So it does occur naturally. It takes millions of years, and I think what you're talking about is just scale, be too large a scale to really have any effect.